On March 26, 2025, an incident led to a suppression hearing before Judge John P. O'Donnell in the Lake County Court of Common Pleas, Ohio. Defendant Jonathan William Ward sought to exclude evidence obtained during a traffic stop. Ward is charged with having weapons while under disability, Ohio Revised Code Section 2923-13, and aggravated possession of drugs, Ohio Revised Code Section 2925-11. Defense attorney John Anthony Fatica argued that because Ward's driver's license was suspended, he chose not to drive. Instead, he arranged for a commercial flatbed tow truck to transport his vehicle while he rode only as a passenger. The defense contends that officers unlawfully prolonged the stop by using an OVI investigation involving the tow truck driver as a pretext to delay the encounter until a narcotics K-9 unit arrived to conduct a free air sniff. As a result, the defense seeks to suppress the evidence obtained from the warrantless vehicle search. Sergeant Brandon Lords, the supervising officer, arrived after the stop had already begun to assist the primary officers and oversee the field sobriety investigation. The hearing opened with Assistant Prosecutor Haley Gold calling Sergeant Brandon Lords as the state's first witness. After Assistant Prosecutor Haley Gold completed her direct examination, defense attorney John Anthony Fatica began questioning Sergeant Brandon Lords of the Timberlake Police Department. During cross-examination, Fatica asked whether passenger Jonathan William Ward had the legal right to refuse to answer police questions. Sergeant Lords confirmed that he did. The defense emphasized that, under the Fifth Amendment and established Fourth Amendment principles, individuals are generally not.
Sergeant Lords, you indicated on direct that you weren't on duty initially on March 26, 2025.
Correct.
Okay. And you got a phone call from Dalton Webb?
Correct.
Okay. Is that usual for a traffic stop?
I wouldn't say it's uncommon. It depends on the agency. It depends on the partners that you work with.
Okay. Was it your perception that Officer Webb couldn't handle a traffic stop on his own?
No, that wasn't my impression, no.
Okay. And would you agree with me that traffic, for most patrol officers, traffic stop is fairly routine?
I wouldn't say that, no.
They're not routine?
No, no traffic is routine.
He doesn't do traffic stops all the time?
I can't speak for him.
Okay. In your experience, when you were a patrolman, did you often have traffic stops?
Correct.
How often did you need backup when you were conducting a traffic stop?
Fairly regularly.
Okay. So you never, I shouldn't say never. You're saying it was your experience on a traffic stop, you don't just issue a citation, you call for backup?
It varies stop to stop.
Okay. How often is backup needed, would you approximate?
I wouldn't approximate.
How often does Dalton Webb request extra eyes?
I can't speak for Dalton Webb.
Since March 26th of 2025, how many traffic stops have you assisted other officers have initiated?
I can't put a number on it or approximate it.
Try as hard as you can. You're under oath.
I can't approximate it.
So
those are logs that you can request through the county dispatch.
Yeah, so it could be zero.
I certainly can't say that, no.
Well, you have no idea. Is that what you're saying?
I can't approximate it for you. I truly don't know that answer.
Okay. So it could be zero.
No, not zero. But I cannot give you a good range.
Okay. Over the course of the last 2 weeks, how many traffic stops have you assisted in?
Have I assisted or been assisted?
Have you assisted? Have you been called when you were off duty because the officer who initiated the traffic stop needed help?
I would say probably 6. I'm a training supervisor now, so I don't see the road as much anymore, but I have people that report to me that have questions that are a lot less experienced than me.
Okay. And you mentioned part of your training was in traffic stops, narcotics interdiction, OVI.
Correct.
In your training with OVI, is it your usual procedure, or was it part of your training to focus on the passenger as opposed to the driver of the vehicle?
Can you re-ask your question, please?
when, in an OVI stop, based on your training and experience, is it the usual procedure to focus on the passenger in the vehicle as opposed to the driver of the vehicle that's suspected of driving?
For specifically an OVI stop,
Yes.
you're focusing on the operator.
Okay. And how long were you talking to Mr. Ward before you spoke with the tow truck driver at all?
You mean while I was conducting a field interview?
No, I mean exactly what I asked.
What was
How
it?
long were
Can you say
talking to
your question again?
How long were you talking to Mr. Ward before you ever approached the tow truck driver?
Approximately 8 to 10 minutes.
And you conducted a pat down of Mr. Ward, right?
Correct.
Didn't find anything illegal?
Correct.
Okay. Nothing illegal about having a lighter,
Correct.
especially when you smoke? Okay. And no warrants?
Correct.
And yet you're still questioning him about criminal activity?
I was conducting a field interview.
Yeah, I know. But why are you conducting a field interview when this is supposed to be an OVI stop?
First of all, I was never involved in the OVI stop, okay? I was never involved in the initial traffic stop. I didn't make contact with the operator. I was dealing solely with the passenger.
Okay. And why were you dealing with the passenger when it's a traffic stop, he wasn't driving?
We're within our legal authority to ask any questions to any occupants of the vehicle.
Okay. And would you agree with me that he doesn't have the answer?
Absolutely.
Okay. And he did answer, right?
To what question?
I thought he answered every question.
There were
But
some
I-
indirect answers and responses.
Yeah, but he answered.
Sure.
And you didn't find anything illegal?
What are you referring to?
I'm referring to, you didn't find anything illegal when you questioned him, when you searched him, and when you conducted the warrant search, right? The warrant check.
I didn't conduct a warrant check.
Well, you testified that he didn't have any warrants.
I didn't conduct a warrant check. In response to Officer Webb, when I asked Officer Webb, he testified, or he stated that he
Are
didn't
you
find
aware of any warrants?
warrants for Jonathan Ward at the time of the stop.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. And if there were a warrant, you'd be aware of it, right?
If I ran him personally, yes.
Well, even if you didn't run it personally, if a warrant showed.
I trust that when Officer Webb told me that he ran him and checked him, that he didn't have a warrant.
Okay. Now, the tow truck and the SUV, were they pulled off to the side of the road?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, don't guess. You were there, right?
Off to the side of the road, yes, sure. It was on, the vehicle was still on Lakeshore Boulevard, so.
What do you mean by that?
The vehicle, the tow
Was it
truck?
in the lane or was it off the?
I think we were closer to it. It was approaching a turn lane, so yes, off to the side of the road. It was still on the road, though, of Lakeshore Boulevard.
Okay. And how heavy is the traffic at this time of night on Lakeshore Boulevard?
It's not very, it's light traffic, but that can vary depending on the night, events, local events.
Okay. And this night it was light?
Correct.
Now, you said that Timberlake doesn't have a policy with regard to inventory.
Correct. To my knowledge, there is none.
Okay. And you didn't have consent to search the SUV, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't see anything illegal happening with the SUV?
Consent from Jonathan Ward to search the vehicle. We
Right.
did not, correct. He denied us consent.
Right. And was the tow truck driver given a citation for anything?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay. What happened to the tow truck driver?
So from my understanding, Officer Webb conducted standardized field sobriety tests. And then he continued to look into some other indicators that he was observing that could be indicative of a narcotic use. So he conducted advanced roadside impaired driving enforcement tests, such as lack of convergence and modified Romberg. After those tests were conducted, he deemed that the operator was most likely safe to drive. So I think he allowed him to continue on his night. So releasing him with just warnings for the violations that were being committed.
Okay, and he drove away in the tow truck.
Correct.
But the SUV had the inventory. Is that your testimony?
From what I understand, Officer Webb's observations were that the tow truck was improperly towing the vehicle, so it had unsafe equipment violations.
Those weren't cited, right?
Correct. The operator of that tow truck was giving warnings for those violations.
And weren't these field sobriety tests really just a ruse to drag out the time until the K1 was brought to the scene?
I can't speak for Officer Webb and the way he conducted his OVI investigation.
Well, you're a sergeant?
Now I am.
Okay. You've been an officer for 13 years?
Yes.
You assist on several stops?
Sure.
Okay. You assist on stops all the time, right?
Sure, yeah.
What was your perception? Why are we...
Of the operator or the stop in a whole?
Stop it as a whole as well as the operator.
Okay, again, I didn't make contact with the operator until he was removed to the back of the vehicle to conduct his SFST investigation, his OVI investigation. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I didn't see the things that Officer Webb was seeing. I know when Officer Webb did have a discussion with me, he said that the operator, when asked to recite certain letters within the alphabet, was completely messing them up. So those were his observations enough to determine that he felt that there was impairment there.
Right, and
now,
he also
it was
mentioned the K1, right?
I'm sorry?
And he also mentioned the K1, if I understood your direct testimony.
He did mention the K1. I mentioned the K1 as a possibility to conduct an initial search to bring the K9 to see if there was probable cause for a search, because the indicators I think that he was observing were narcotic related.
Okay, but none of that had to do with Mr. Ward, right?
No, not at all.
Right, because you patted him down, no warrants, nothing on him?
Correct.
One moment, Your Honor. Okay, on direct, you mentioned that Mr. Ward was patted down. Is that the usual procedure for someone who's a passenger in a car that's pulled over in a traffic stop?
When displaying the patterns of behavior he was displaying, it is.
Okay. Patterns, when you say patterns of behavior, he didn't have any warrants. He's being cooperative. He's answering your questions. What patterns of behavior are you referring to?
Patterns of behavior is being evasive, not answering questions. We sometimes, if there's nothing to hide, you can answer simple questions pertaining to the course of the conversation. Like I was asking, I was trying to find out additional information about his past and things of that nature. And then also his body position. He kept on leaning back and away from the conversation. He kept looking left and right. I can identify that as somebody attempting to make the proper time, I can recognize that as somebody attempting to see an out and an attempt to run or remove himself from the situation.
But he didn't run.
No, but I can identify those things. Those are common behaviors of somebody willing to run and looking for an out to run.
So you're
from law enforcement contact.
Right. That, in your mind, that was probable cause that there was crime afoot.
Say that again?
If I understand you correctly, you're saying Mr. Ward looking left to right was indicative of criminal behavior.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying I patted him down for my safety because his behaviors were not making me feel particularly safe at the time. So I patted him down for my safety.
Okay. And
I could see his pockets bulging as well. His pockets were bulging with the items in it.
right, and didn't find anything illegal.
Correct.
And he could have told you right from the start, go F yourself, I don't want to answer any questions, right?
Absolutely.
Nothing further.
Required to answer police questions during a routine traffic stop. Officers may only extend a detention if they have reasonable, articulable suspicion of criminal activity. Sergeant Lords acknowledged that Mr. Ward could have lawfully declined to answer questions from the very beginning of the encounter. The defense then turned to the frisk. Under the Supreme Court's ruling in Terry v. Ohio, an officer may conduct a limited pat-down only when there are specific, articulable facts suggesting the person is armed and dangerous. A frisk based solely on nervous behavior or a person's victim's decision to look around may raise constitutional concerns. Sergeant Lords testified that he believed Mr. Ward's body language appeared evasive, explaining that Ward leaned away from the conversation and repeatedly looked from side to side, which the officer interpreted as suspicious. Sergeant Brandon Lords testified that Mr. Ward appeared to be looking for an opportunity to flee. However, he admitted that the frisk uncovered no weapons, drugs, or other contraband, only a legally possessed cigarette lighter. The defense then cited Rodriguez versus United States, arguing that a traffic stop may last only as long as necessary to complete its original purpose. In this case, that purpose was to investigate the tow truck's equipment and the driver's possible impairment. According to the defense, officers instead spent nearly 10 minutes questioning Mr. Ward, a passenger, before completing the original investigation. They argued this unnecessarily prolonged the stop without independent reasonable suspicion, making the continued detention unconstitutional. The hearing then moved to the testimony of Officer Vincent Kangalokey. After the prosecution concluded its direct examination, defense attorney John Anthony Fatica began his cross-examination. As the cross-examination began, defense attorney John Anthony Fatica shifted his focus to Officer Vincent Kangalokey's actions during the traffic stop. Fatica questioned whether Officer Kangalokey had observed any specific criminal behavior by Mr. Ward before detaining and questioning him. The defense argued that Ward